In Blender, we have two forms of shading for our objects. We have smooth shading and flat shading. We can make our mesh appear more defined without making the object any more complex by using smooth shading. We're also going to discuss when to use smooth shading. So let's see how this works in Blender. So the best thing to do right now would be to use a more detailed object. So I'm going to use Suzanne the monkey. So I'm going to delete my cube and I'm going to Shift A, Mesh, Monkey. And there's Suzanne. Currently, we are in flat mode. Flat mode or flat shading is the default shading in Solid Viewpoint for Blender, and this allows us to see all of our shapes, all the angles, all the edges. Every single face is shaded differently to those next to it so that it can be visible. However, if we were creating objects, then surely we would think that we wouldn't want to see faces on the final design. We wouldn't want to see all these edges, all these vertices. We want it to look really smooth, really nice, as if it was an actual organic object, which our monkey is. So to do that, we go to the tools bar and go down to where it says shading. We have two options, smooth and flat. Let's press on smooth. And straight away you can see the appearance of the object is very different. Now I should note that nothing has happened to the faces. None of the faces have been moved. Nothing's been deleted. Nothing's been added. The only thing that's changed is Blender has altered the appearance of our monkey so that light reflects at the same rate on all faces. This way it makes it seem a lot smoother, a lot more defined, but we haven't added anything to it. So I'm going to go to flat again. So we've got all these faces. Up here we see what makes up our mesh. So we have over 500 vertices and 500 faces. Even when I go into smooth shading, despite the fact that it looks more defined, we still have the same amount of vertices and the same amount of faces. Smooth shading is best used towards the end of the modelling phase of your project. So once you've done with the modelling and you're about to move up to textures and materials, that would be the best time for smooth shading. However, you might want to use smooth shading during the modelling phase just to get an idea of what your final design would look like. For example, you may be making a metallic object that is quite circular in nature, but this circular object might require several hard edges. You would want to see in smooth shading how it looks so that you can find where those sharp edges would be. So guys, that is smooth shading, and also it's flat shading. Use them wisely. Very powerful tool for preparing your model for textures and materials and for helping you determine where extra geometry should be placed to make your mesh look as good as it can be. Thanks guys, see you next time.